Alright, so welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful session of the course on Go4DataScience, we're trying to explore the concept of working with arrays, right? So in the previous session, we saw about how to work with variables. Now let's see how to work with arrays and then slices, because these are very important data structures that we mostly use when working as a data scientist. So let's see how to work with it. So I'll just go back and then recap on variables. So this was how we create variable. You just specify your reserved keyword var, right? We're going to tell us that this is the particular data structure I want, a variable, and then the identifier, right? The name you want to give to the variable, then your type, right? Which is going to be integer, float, string, as many as you want. Now let's see how to work with variables, and not just variables but arrays. So how do you create an array in Go? So just go with the same thing, var. I want to create a variable called an array, which is going to be the identifier. This is the identifier. It can be any name. Then it must always have a fixed size, right? So an array is simply a collection of values, a collection of data, but it must always, in Go, it must always have a fixed size or a fixed length. So this is going to be the fixed size, the fixed length. So I'm creating an array which is having a fixed size of only 2 values, and then the values must have a data type of int. So this is the data type we have declared. This is the size of it, and this is the identifier. That is how to declare an array in Go. Again, in case you also want to declare an array and then initialize it with a value, just go with var, the name of the identifier for the array, the fixed size, right, the data type, and then these are the initialized values. So I only want to have only 2 values. So the size must correspond. If this is 2, this must be 2. If this is integer, this must also be integer, otherwise it's going to give you an error. So that is how to work with creating an array. You can also use the shorthand using the Walrus Operator, which is going to be var, the Walrus Operator, right? Then you specify your size, your integer, and then your values. So let's see how to write this thing in actual code. So I'll go back to my VS Code. Then let's create another file. So I'll just go back here. We create a file. I'm going to call it as Go Arrays. GoArrays.go. Then that is where we write in our code so that you can have it as reference. So I'll close this one, and then we'll start writing some code. So let's go clear everything off. So let's see how to work with this. So first of all, just go straight away with our package.main to make it executable. As we learned, we're going to import our FMT to help us print something, right? And then we need to be able to specify our main function, which is going to be our entry point. So it's going to be main. Right, perfect. So let's save it. All the errors are going to go off. So the format has gone, right? But if I start working on it, the format can also come back. So if I go back and let's see how to create an array. So this is how to declare an array. Right. So this, as we said, you just go with var, right? Then I want an array. Then I want to specify the type, the size. The size is going to be 2. Then it must have integers, only integers. So this is how to declare an array. Very simple. So if I save it, that's done it perfectly well. Now, in case I want to assign values to it, how do I do that? So it's just simple. I'm just going to go with my values that I want to assign. So this is going to be my array. Since it's having only 2 sizes, it starts from 0. So I want to, at point 0, I want to put this particular value there. I want to put a value called 5 there. It must always be integer, right? So if I run it like that, it has added 5 to that particular place for my array. Now, let's read it. In case I want to read the element within it, the element or the value, I can just assign it using the Walrus Operator. So let's go with the I. I got I. The Walrus Operator. This, right? Then I'll specify that I want to read it back again. So I want to read the location 0, right? Very simple. Now let's use fmt.print line. Then let's print that particular value. If I save it, automatically see that the format has come, right? That is because of Go in VS Code, right? So let's run it again. So go run my Go arrays, and it's going to run it perfectly and give us our value of 5 rather, right? Because at location 0 we put the value 5 there. So that is a basic understanding. So to declare an array, just go with this, right? It's going to declare it. It's having a size of 2, and it's supposed to be the type of integer, right? And to assign a value, we just go with this and to read. Now, in case I want to see the particular size, I can just go with fmt.println Then let's call that this is going to be the length of it, right? And I can also use a particular function to help us with that. So let's check it out. So I'll just go with length. So length is a input function. Then I'll specify that I want to get the length of my array. So I save it and I run it again. So it's going to tell us that the length is 2, right? So the length is 2, right? Which is the same thing that we specified here. So the size of the length is 2 and it's given us as 2. Very nice. Now in case I want to get the data type, which is this data type that we specified, we can also do the same thing as you remember, fmt.print f for print format to get our format. Then I'll specify that I want %t, the type. Then this is going to be the type, right? So let's go back here and then pass in our value, so array. So this is going to tell us that this particular array is having a type of integers. So let's go back and see it. Run it again. You can see that now the value stored there at the first location is 5, the length is 2, and then the data type is going to be the one that's going to be specified as integers here. So that is a simple overview about it, right? So the data type is 2, right? Integer 2, and the size is 2. Very cool and very nice. So that is how to work with arrays in Go. Very simple. So this is what we have done here, right? How to declare a variable with a fixed size, and then how to assign a value. You can also do it in this particular option. So let's try an example on how to do it in this option. I'll go back again to my VS Code. We'll try the method 2. So this is going to be declaring and then assigning as well as initializing with values, right? So how do we do that? So you can just go with the same thing option. So let's call that var. I'm going to give it, let me come up, let's reduce it so that I can see it well. I'm giving it a particular value of what? So let's go as even numbers, right? Then I can just go back with this option. It is going to take a size of 2, or let's go with a size of 4. The type is going to be int. Now initialize it to these values, right? So you can also do it in this particular option. Any of them is going to work, right? Any of them is going to work. So let's, as I said, it is 4, so it must be 2, 4, 6, and then 8, right? Very nice. So create an array, right, of a size 4, right, which is having only the type of integer, and I'm going to put in these values, right? So to print it, I can just go with fmt.print line my even number, right? So now if I save it and I come back again, let's run it again. You can see that it's giving us our result here, right? So we have this particular option, which is only integers, right? Very cool. So I can make it better by, let's put in \n here. Yeah, let's try it again. Right, perfect. So this is going to be our array, right, which is having only integers, right? You can also check the type as you want. Very simple and very nice. If I change this one and I put in, say, 4.0, right, let's save it and see, right? And in case I run it again, because I specified that this is must be integers, automatically going to convert these particular values, right, into integers. But even if the reason it was able to do that because this is 0, but if I make it 0.7, I save it, right, this is going to give us going to give us an error, right? If it is 0, right, it can easily convert it automatically to their integers, right? But if it is not 0, it's a different number, it's going to give you an integer error, because this is not conforming to the particular data type. That is how to work with variables, right, or arrays in Go. Very simple. So arrays cannot only just be integers or float or something, right? I can also put an array of float. So let's try an example. So var, right, odd numbers, or let's call it odd float, right? And I'm just going to go straight away with this. So it's going to have, let's say, yes, 4 values and float. Can use float 64, float 62 based on the system. Then I'll specify that I'm creating an odd value. So let's call it as 1.1 is an odd value, 3.3 another one, 5.3, right, and then another one, let's call it, let's say 7.7, right, something like that. So this, now let's print it out in dot format, odd float. right? So if I print it out, it's going to give us our result in a very simple way. So let's go back and clear off this and run it again. So this, we are seeing the different ways we can work with arrays to give us our values very well, right? Very, very cool and very nice. So that is how to work. If I change this one, I make this like, let's say, if I change this one to 1, right? So if I run it, it's going to automatically convert that one auto to 0 because it's close to 1, right? Very nice. So it is going to work because I think that float has precedence over integers, right? Very nice. That is if it's close to that particular value. That's how to work with arrays in Go. We have seen how to work with an array, how to declare and assign a value to it, how to declare it, assign and initialize a value to it in Go. You can also use the Walrus Operator, which is going to be the shorthand. So this is going to be method 3. It's going to be the shorthand. So as we saw earlier, we can just go straight away with this. So let's call it as, let's give it a particular value of m, right? Or array2, right? Shorthand. Then I'll specify the same thing as we did. I want to give it a size of 2. Then I'll specify the particular data type, int, right? And then I can put in the value straight away to it, right? You can also add the values as 2 and then 5. And then let's print it out. So format dot print line our array 2. Then I'll pass in my array 2. So if I save it and I come back again, there's no errors there. There are no red signs there. So that means everything is working as expected. If I go back, clear off my terminal, and let's run some code, it's going to work perfectly without giving us any error. Perfect. So that is how to use a shorthand, right? So either you use this particular option, right, or this one. Remember that using the shorthand, the Walrus Operator, it must always be within a function. Otherwise, it's not going to give you an error. Arrays can also contain not just strings, not just numbers, it can also contain strings. So let's try another one with strings. So it's going to be like this. So let's call it as, let's use the shorthand. So my best food, right? Everybody likes food, right? Use the shorthand, the Walrus Operator. I want to specify just 3 foods that I like, which is going to be type of string. Then I'll specify that I like eating rice. Everybody likes rice. I also like eating fufu, right? And I also like eating, let's say, bread, right? Just 3, right? So in case I want to print it out, I can just go with fmt.print line the food. I can also check for the data type, fmt.printf, remember, printf format, print the format, type, right, perfect, \n, then I'll specify for the value food. So let's run it again. Take off this, and then you can see that it's giving us our result perfectly well. So it's not just only integers and floats, but it can also be other data structures. Hope you're enjoying the procedure, right? So that it's giving us our data type, string, and the size. Very cool and very nice. You can also do some other stuff with arrays, right? So that is the difference. That is the concept about arrays. Now let's move on from arrays and move on to slices. So what is the difference between an array and then a slice, right? So what is the difference? So to go back, the difference is that a slice is just a format of an array, but in this case we don't specify the size, right? We don't specify the size, we just leave it empty. That is the difference. That is all the difference. But the other difference behind the scene that with slice you can do a lot of things, you can do a lot of manipulation. Anytime you create an array like this, right, and you assign it to a value, it's going to create a copy of it, right, which you can't have another copy. But if you use a slice, you can do a lot of things. You can reference them and then pass the value to and do a lot of things with a slice. That is something very simple. You can check a lot of video tutorials about it because this is just about the basics, right? Okay, so let's go back and see how to work with size. One more thing, you can also do something like this. If you want to specify the size, you can also do something like that for an array. In case you don't want to specify size, right, and you don't want to specify size, you want the compiler to do it. So the compiler is going to specify the size for you, right, out of the box. You can also do something like this. So I can also create something like, let's give it like, let's say, languages that people know, right? There are a lot of languages. Create a Walrus Operator. Now just go back with this option. I want the compiler to specify the size. So we'll go with the ellipsis, right? The dot ellipsis. Then I'll specify that I want to put in, let's say, it can be different, like Go. I can put in different languages like Julia, the almighty Python, and the rest. So this is going to take as much as I want, right? So I can take as many as I want. If I go back fmt.print format, right? Print the format. Let's give it the data type of this particular stuff, which is going to be the lang we have created. Let's go back with \n and let's run it again. Go back and I run this particular option that we have. You are going to see that it's given us an error already, right? So we send that error non-declared statement outside function. So let's see where we made a mistake. Yeah, we made a mistake here. Let's fix it. So let me show you how to fix it. So like non-declared statement outside function, right? Because we did not give it a particular data type. Remember, for arrays, first size, first data type. So just go back again, specify the data type, it is string. Now it's going to work, right? So if I save it, so it's going to, the red arrow is gone. That means that everything is working as expected. So let's run it again. The red line, I said the red arrow. Perfect. So that's given us the data type, right? 3. So if I add another one to, let's add another one. So let's add, let's say JavaScript. So JS. Run it again. It's going to tell me that is 4, right? So it automatically identifies and then specifies the size. Very cool and very nice. So that is a basic overview about working with arrays in Go. Very simple, very nice. So in the next tutorial, I'll be trying to see how to work with slice. So all that you have done so far, you can also do the same thing with slice by just omitting the size. So let's see that one in the next session. See you in the next session. Stay blessed. Bye.